The first time I saw her, she nearly knocked me off the trail. I was halfway through my usual Saturday morning run, moving slowly because my knee had been acting up again, when a blur of blonde hair and gray leggings flew past me like a gust of wind. "On your left," she shouted. Before I could react, she was already 10 feet ahead. Then she looked back over her shoulder with the kind of smile that should have come with a warning label. "If you can catch me," she yelled, "I'll let you buy me coffee." I almost laughed out loud. Almost. Because something about her voice hit me strangely hard. Maybe it was the confidence in it. Maybe it was the fact that she looked genuinely alive in a way most people didn't anymore. Or maybe it was because I hadn't flirted with anyone in almost 3 years, not since Emily died. I slowed to a walk, breathing hard, while watching the woman disappear. Around the bend of the wooded trail, for the first time in months, I realized I was smiling. That bothered me more than it should have. My name's Caleb. I'm 37 years old, a high school history teacher, and a widower raising an 8-year-old daughter who still cried herself to sleep, some nights when she thought I couldn't hear her. Life had become routine. Wake up, pack lunches, teach teenagers who barely listened, come home, help with homework, pretend I wasn't lonely, repeat. The trail was the only thing I still did for myself. And now apparently, some reckless woman in running shoes had decided to invade that too. I forgot about her until Monday evening. I was carrying groceries up the front steps of my small rental house when a moving truck parked next door caught my attention. A woman hopped down from the back wearing ripped jeans and a black tank top despite the chilly weather. Her hair was tied up messily and she was arguing with a guy carrying a couch. "No, rotate it, unless your goal is destroying my grandmother's antique furniture." Then she turned. Our eyes met. Recognition flashed instantly across her face. "You." I blinked. She pointed dramatically. "Slow trail guy. And your obnoxious trail girl." She grinned. It hit me harder this time. She walked across the lawn without hesitation, extending her hand. "Sophie." "Caleb." Her grip was warm despite the cold air. "You live there?" she asked. "Unfortunately." "Well," she said, glancing at my grocery bags, "this is awkward." "Why?" "Because now if you keep staring at my butt while I run, it technically counts as neighbor harassment." I nearly choked. She burst out laughing before I could answer. God, I'd forgotten what easy laughter sounded like. "You flirt with everyone like this?" I asked. "Only the grumpy ones." "I'm not grumpy." "You absolutely are." I wanted to deny it. Couldn't, because she was right. That night, Lily sat cross-legged on the kitchen counter, eating macaroni while watching. Sophie unpacked through the window. "She's pretty," Lily said casually. I nearly dropped a plate into the sink. "You're 8, I muttered. I'm not blind. Kids were terrifying. Over the next few weeks, Sophie became impossible to avoid. She ran every morning, talked constantly, played music too loud, somehow knew everyone's business within days of moving in. And for reasons I couldn't explain, she kept showing up at my door. Once because she accidentally made too much lasagna. Once because her sink was leaking. Once because she claimed she locked herself out. Though I later realized, the spare key had been sitting in her hoodie pocket the entire time. Lily adored her instantly. That should have scared me more than it did. One Friday evening, I came home exhausted after parent-teacher conferences to find Sophie sitting on my porch steps with Lily. They were eating popsicles despite the freezing weather. "What's this?" I asked. Sophie shrugged. "Your daughter informed me you work too hard and forget to have fun." Lily nodded seriously. "Traitor." Sophie stood and handed me a great popsicle. "You look tired, Caleb." It wasn't what she said. It was how gently she said it. That was dangerous. Because people who noticed your exhaustion usually noticed the rest of you too. And I wasn't sure I wanted to be seen anymore. That night after Lily went to bed, Sophie lingered on the porch while the neighborhood settled into silence around us. "You never talk about your wife," she said softly. I stiffened instantly. "There's not much to say." "That's not true." The strange thing was she didn't sound curious. She sounded sad. I stared out into the dark street. "Cancer," I finally said. "Fast, aggressive, by the time we found it." The words dissolved. Sophie didn't interrupt, didn't offer fake comfort. She just sat beside me quietly, and somehow that hurt more. "I used to think grief would get smaller," I admitted. "But it doesn't. You just get better at carrying it." Her eyes flickered toward me. "Who told you that?" "No one." "They were wrong." I frowned. She rapped, her hands around her coffee cup staring into it. "My fiancé died 2 years ago. The air left my lungs. I didn't know." "Motorcycle accident," she said quietly. 1 minute he was joking with me on the phone. 20 minutes later, her voice cracked. It was the first time I'd ever seen her vulnerable. No sarcasm, no teasing, just pain. And suddenly I understood her. The constant energy, the endless movement, the forced brightness. She was outrunning something, same as me. I moved here because I couldn't breathe there anymore, she whispered. Every street reminded me of him. I looked at her differently after that, not as the loud neighbor, not as the beautiful woman who kept disrupting my carefully controlled life, but as someone drowning quietly in the exact same ocean, and that terrified me. Because once you recognize your pain in someone else, distance becomes impossible. After that night, things changed. Not dramatically, not all at once, just slowly, naturally, like sunlight creeping across a floor. She started joining Lily and me for dinner. Lily started calling her during school pickup if I ran late. One rainy Sunday, Sophie fell asleep on my couch while watching movies with us, her head resting against my shoulder like it belonged there. I didn't move for 2 hours, because for the first time since Emily died, I didn't feel empty, and that scared me more than loneliness ever had. A week later, everything fell apart. I was grading papers when Lily wandered into the kitchen quietly. "Dad?" "Yeah?" She twisted nervously in place. "Do you love Sophie?" The question hit like a punch. I think Mom would like her," Lily said softly. I stopped breathing. Kids shouldn't be wise enough to destroy adults. I crouched beside her slowly. "Why would you say that?" "Because you smile again." Jesus Christ, I had to look away. That night I couldn't sleep. Because Lily was right. Somewhere along the way, Sophie had dragged me back to life without permission, and I didn't know what to do with that. The next morning, I avoided her, then the next day too. By the third day, she cornered me after my run. "Okay," she said breathlessly, hands on hips. "What the hell is happening?" "Nothing." "Caleb, I can't do this." The words came out harsher than intended. Her face fell instantly. "Do what?" "This," I snapped. "Whatever this is becoming." Silence. Pain flickered across her expression so quickly I almost missed it. "You think I'm trying to replace her?" "No," I said immediately. "Because that wasn't it. Not even close. You know what scares me?" I admitted quietly, losing someone again. Her eyes softened instantly, and somehow that made everything worse. "You don't avoid pain by avoiding people," she whispered. "You don't know that." "Yes," she said gently, "I do." God, I wanted to kiss her. Right there on the trail. Instead, I stepped back and watched her heart break in real time. She stopped coming around after that. No more random knocks at the door. No more coffee on the porch. No more laughter drifting through the yard. The silence became unbearable almost immediately. Lily noticed too. "You hurt her," she said one night while coloring at the table. "I know." "Why?" "Because I loved her. Because love had already ruined me once. Because happiness felt temporary and grief felt permanent. But I couldn't explain any of that to an 8-year-old. So I just sat there hating myself quietly. 3 weeks later, the storm came. A brutal thunderstorm rolled through town after midnight, knocking out power across half the neighborhood. I woke to pounding on my front door. At first I thought I imagined it. Then came another frantic knock. I opened the door to find Sophie standing there soaked to the bone, breathing hard. "My basement's flooding," she said shakily. I didn't know where else to go. Every instinct in me collapsed instantly. I pulled her inside without thinking. She was freezing. Her entire body trembled violently as rain hammered against the windows behind us. "Sit down," I said. She looked exhausted. Not physically. Emotionally. Like holding herself together had finally become too heavy. I grabbed towels while she stood silently in my kitchen. Then she suddenly whispered, "I missed you." 3 words. That was all it took. Every wall I'd spent years building shattered at once. I crossed the room before I could think better of it, and kissed her, not carefully, not cautiously, just honestly, like a starving man finally admitting he was hungry. She kissed me back instantly, fingers gripping my shirt like she was afraid I'd disappear. When we finally pulled apart, both of us were shaking. "I'm terrified," I admitted against her forehead. "So am I. I don't know how to do this anymore." She smiled sadly. "Neither do I." Rain thundered outside, while the house remained dark, except for candlelight from the kitchen counter, and somehow it felt like the entire world had narrowed down to that single moment. To her hands in mine, to the realization that grief hadn't brought us together. Survival had. Weeks later, we ran the trail together for the first time. Lily rode her bike ahead of us, laughing while autumn leaves scattered across the path. Sophie bumped her shoulder against mine playfully. "You know," she said, "you still never caught me." I smirked. "You let me." She glanced at me sideways, smiling softly now. Yeah, she whispered. I think I did.